All right, some good words there from Pastor Oram as he just saying, encouraging balance, but it is certainly right to celebrate today. It's an amazing occasion. It's a historic event for sure, and we're certainly told to rejoice with those who rejoice, but also we're called to pray for those in authority. And unbelievable amount of pressure that is on this new president of the United States. A lot of high expectations. And thank you, Denise, who joins us now in the studio, for bringing us that report. And also joined by Magdalene John, another one of our 100 Huntley Street reporter producers here. And so, Denise, any further thoughts as you just look back at the piece you just put together?
I was really happy to actually do this piece because, you know, we were all so caught up in the election and the whole hype around Obama and everything, but to really get a perspective on this moment. And I think in doing this piece, I realized what this moment actually means to an even greater extent. And it's a lot about where you come from and what you've experienced. And so for me, this really broadened my perspective on just what this means, and even just screening the footage from Martin Luther King's, you know, March in Washington, you know, that historic footage that we've all seen. That was 1963. That wasn't that long ago. And to see the same, you know, mall filled with people, you know, for Barack Obama and at the Lincoln Memorial. I mean, there's just so much symbolism in this event that it really is, it takes your breath away. And so for me to do this story was really unearthing that what this actually means.
And you know, Denise, you were saying 1963 was when he made that speech. And at that time, in that era, I was just looking up, you know, what life was like for African Americans at that point. They couldn't drink from the same water fountain as white people could. They had to sit at the back of a public bus. They had to enter public buildings through different doors. And they weren't even allowed in some public, famous, popular hotels and restaurants. You know, our kids really have no concept that that was really the way of life for people back just 50 years ago. And Maggie, how does it make you feel to see that Barack Obama is becoming president of the United States today, a man 50 years ago who wouldn't have been allowed to drink from the same water fountain? As white people.
It's an important event, and I think everybody should be celebrating, not just black people. This is a momentous occasion. I was watching an interview that Martin Luther King did on the BBC years ago, and they asked him, when do you think we'll have our first black president? He said, oh, I think about 25 years from now. And that's we're pretty close. It was a pretty good projection. And to think that, I mean, when you look back and you see all that Martin Luther King did, he wasn't just doing it for black people. He was doing it so that a country could be let free. And I think that's the most important part. How much better does our country operate when all of us are working in harmony? It's not just about one segment of our society. It's about all of us in the health of the U.S.
Absolutely. So much the Bible speaks about, and God encourages unity across all barriers. And so that's so vital. And mentioning Martin Luther King, his nephew made a speech I think it was yesterday. And so let's get a little clip of what he had to say.
This great and historic election of Barack Obama is not, and I repeat, is not the realization of the dream of Martin Luther King. The dream was not about an individual or any race of people attaining power. The dream is not an African American dream, not a Caucasian dream, not a Christian dream, not a Jewish dream, not an Islamic or Hindu dream. It is a human dream.
All right.
Human dream.
Great words.
And this is the beautiful thing, I think, for this moment that we can all celebrate, is that, you know, the legacy, the heritage of democracy is freedom. And I think that's something a lot of people hadn't yet tasted. And I think that's why this moment means so much, because it really does now signify that anybody can become the president of the United States, that it's not just to a certain political or social economic class. It's really anybody who has the dream to do it. So I think that's something that, you know, we can all share in, is the heritage of democracy.
And this day isn't just about one man. I mean, Democratic or Republican, I mean, it really has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that we have now stepped over that barrier. We've now broken that glass ceiling that was there for so long. I mean, it doesn't matter if it was Barack Obama or whoever it was. It's the fact that we've now set this accomplishment. And, you know, hearing some commentators, they were saying, you know, there's going to be a new generation that won't even know what it was like to not have a black president. They're not going to know. I mean, we're amazed by it, and I'm thinking, little Ethan, my son, will never know. He'll be like, what do you mean there wasn't a black president? It just won't sink in. So I think that's the amazing accomplishment as well.
But really, another thing that just kind of I've found interesting in doing this whole thing is just how excited people are. And it's the hunger that I'm seeing in everybody. They want hope. Everybody wants hope. And I just think it taps into this common human desire in all of our hearts for hope, for freedom, to have that ability to go and to do. And you know, let's face it, Barack Obama cannot fulfill all the promises that he makes. No human being can. But I just thought it was so interesting that he unearthed something that is so deeply entrenched in every human soul, and that is that desire for hope. Something to live for, something beyond themselves, and that transcendence. And I think he really, you know, wisely ran a very positive campaign and everything else. And I certainly don't agree with a lot of Barack Obama's positions. And you know, and I think, you know, in the days coming, we are going to have to really critically look at what some of these positions are and really hold that to account. But I do believe that he tapped into something that all human beings can relate to.
Absolutely. And I heard a interview yesterday with Governor Sarah Palin, and I know that she said some things that, Ann, I know you would agree with as an American. You're Canadian as well, but you're American. And she said, yes, just as you said, Denise, there's differences, you know, in idealism and different, you know, thoughts politically, but she said, he's my president now. You know, once he's sworn in, he's my president, your president, and that means we need to pray, you know, for him. We need to say yes. We need to move ahead in unity. We need to you know, respect that office, and so that's an important step, isn't it?
Yeah, and as the pastor in your piece said, you know, we need to pray that he allows, President Obama allows God to have a seat at the decision-making table, to be a part of his thinking. We need to pray that he claims to be a Christian, and no man can judge anyone else's heart, but we need to pray that he truly does invite God's Holy Spirit into his decision-making process, because that is only really how any of us can do anything worthwhile and well, is if we allow God to lead us and fill us and guide us. And so that's the way we need to pray.
I agree, and I think that we're going to have plenty of time to talk about politics. I think today we just need to celebrate. I think we need to celebrate this moment and just be happy that we've been able to accomplish this. We're going to have 4 years, maybe 8 years, to talk about all of those political decisions that he has to make. But I think today's the day for celebration.
And many people are celebrating, and they will continue to celebrate. As you said, Ron, we are live right now between 9 and 10 a.m. Eastern. But if you're watching this program tonight between 9 and 10, I guess the celebrations will be in full swing. All of the balls that they attend and the parties and everything. So it is exciting.
And I think it's also important to just to honor the people who made this possible. You know, so many people sacrificed, you know, so that Barack Obama could take, you know, this this position that he's in now, and like he said, he's on the shoulder of giants, and so we really have to honor those people who, you know, have lost their lives, who struggled, who paid the price really for this moment.
And it's an incredible year. I'm just going to read a couple of facts. Like it's Martin Luther King's 80th birthday, or that just passed. Obama accepted the Democratic nomination on the 45th anniversary of Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. So that was on the 45th anniversary. The NAACP, which is the National Association of Advancement of Colored People, celebrates their 100th anniversary as well this year. So it's amazing. Like, all of these things are coming together.
And he's the 44th president.
And he's the 44th president. I mean, again, it's acknowledging the fact that he is standing on all of those people
Yeah.
who have gone through all of that struggle.
Many milestones.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Right.
so we rejoice today, and then get into prayer
Yes.
tomorrow, because a lot rests on his shoulders, and it's the most powerful position in the world.
Yes. Yes.
And so we need to continue to pray.